We are in the midst of free agency. All right, now we got people going to the combine. They're running 40s. All right, they're lifting weights. And now we got to lift our spirits and see who is the best pick. All right, who is the best pick in the first round? We got two names. We're going to talk about them. And then we might have a bonus. First time ever a caller into Boy Green Meets Wudi. You better stay tuned because that's going to be an interesting one right after the intro.
Can you guys help us get a jet chant here? Yeah, going.
Oh.
Okay, yeah. Come on in.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go!
J-E-T-S, jet! Let's go! J-E-T-S, jet! Let's go!
Third Party Thursday.
Chris joining us here on the program with a capital P here on the program.
Jake Asman, come on down. How you doing, good sir?
Wow, what an intro. I mean, the Boy Green is known for having the intro, but Wudi, that was unreal, man. Thanks for the kind words, son.
We are men of many names.
My favorite Austrian Jets fan right there,
Nice.
baby.
Boy Green.
Meets Wudi. Welcome to another episode of Boy Green Meets Wudi. It is your boy James Wudi, and you already know we are Wudi, rocking everywhere. And next to me, it's not Green Bean, but it is the boy who became king, Mr. Paul Esden Jr. himself. How you doing, my good sir?
I'll say this. I missed the heck out of, I missed the show literally, but as I was watching, I was just in envy of Green Bean. Everyone calls him my father, the white-bearded, colossus that Green Bean is. He's awesome. I love Green Bean. You guys kicked ass last week on that show, and occasionally that's going to happen where one of us is out and somebody else steps up to the plate, but Boy Green Meets Wudi is on no matter what, so I love that. That's super cool. So, yeah, you guys killed it last week. What a fun show. You guys set a high bar for this week.
Well, I know we will reach that bar. Definitely had a great time. Big thanks again for Green Bean, his insights, his takes, his grades. Helped me feel a whole lot better or a whole lot more clear on the team. I don't know if I can say better because as anybody who follows me on all the places you can follow me knows, I feel like this offseason hasn't been one for the ages.
Yeah, there's been good moments and bad moments, and but not as much splash as some people may have wanted, which may be good or bad. Again, it depends on your perspective, I guess. For our show and content, less splash, less but sometimes that happens, and it can sometimes be good for business. Patience is a virtue,
Patience is definitely a virtue. So we will see what happens. And of course, with one of the polls that I had put up, I said, hey, is this free agency great? Is it bad? Or do we need to wait till the draft to kind of see for real? And the consensus, which I have to say has to be the right answer, I don't know how you can make any other decision, is that we need to wait till the draft to see for real. And that's kind of what we're talking about right now.
Yeah.
Is, looking at two names that have been said a whole lot in Green. And I think earlier, there were more pipe dreams, right? Because we thought free agency was going to happen. And, there were names, Evan Ingram was a name that we were hearing. Chris Godwin was a name that we were hearing.
Yeah.
We were hearing a whole bunch of different names. But now that it has been crystal clear that the level of additions they're willing to make in free agency is the Stone Smart level. Now we gotta draft somebody because you cannot hang your hat on Stone Smart level. You can't. You just can't. And it's no disrespect to him specifically. I know I said his name twice, but really, pretty much all the last 8 signings that I've seen. Is all that type of bottom of the barrel, scrape that gunk off the bottom type deal. So if we need a pass catcher for this guy, Justin Fields, these are the two top names to look at.
Yeah, and those two top names for everyone that's watching on all of our social media portals. And remember, we're streaming now live to 5 different places. My YouTube channel, Take Flight Talk, which is James Wudi's YouTube channel. Again, make sure you guys subscribe to that channel for Jets content with us together and also Jets content with James Wudi solo. And probably some love affair with Green Bean. I'm probably going to stumble into that over there, I bet. And Instagrams for both of us as well. So show your support no matter where you're watching. But the two names up for debate is Tyler Warren, the Penn State tight end, and Tater Tot McMuffin, as Ricky in New York likes to say, a.k.a. Tet McMillan, the wide receiver out of Arizona. So I don't know how you want to do this because this is our first version of this, Wudi, and I'm sure this is going to be a lot of fun of presenting the case of each guy and talking through the pros and cons. So I guess we could just dart throw one of these guys first and go through in that way.
Sure. Yeah, I guess, we spoke a little bit before the show, but we didn't really talk about that.
Yeah, that's a good point. So,
so yeah, I guess we didn't talk about it, but yeah, I would say,
yeah.
Well, first off the bat, let me just ask you, curious question.
Okay.
Are you cool with if the Jets draft either of these guys number 7? Are you cool with it, or do you have a preference?
I definitely have a preference.
Preference.
If I had a dating profile, there would be a clear preference here. There would be a very clear preference.
Okay.
And my preference is Tyler Warren. And we could get into a lot of it here about whether or not that's the right choice or wrong choice. But let me turn it around to you, James Wudi. Do you have a preference between Tater Tot McMuffin and Tyler Warren?
I do, but it's very slight. It's very slight.
Okay.
And that's so, and you didn't really answer my original question because I asked you to, so that's my fault. Of would you be okay with either? I would be okay with either.
Yeah, I did ignore that part of the question. You also didn't answer the slight lean which way. So as we're answering questions here, where was your slight lean? Yeah, lean with it. Rock with it. Where we leaning?
I'm leaning with Tet. I've said
excellent.
it on social media. Give me Tet or give me death.
Oh wow,
but,
that's dark. All right. Well,
hey, because I need somebody. But if they say Tyler Warren, then that's okay too.
So I guess I'll go back to your question as we're half answering each other's questions here. And I'm a dumb animal, so if you ask me too many questions all at once, my brain gets all confused. Would I be okay with it? It's hard to be upset if the Jets go. The New York Jets with the 7th overall pick select 6'4", 219-pound wide receiver Tet McMillan. And that's the immediate compliment to Garrett Wilson. It'd be hard for me to go, gee, what are we doing? Like, it makes sense on paper why they want a wide receiver, and why they specifically would want Tet McMillan. There's a lot of reason to believe why that would make sense. But here, let's start off with Tet McMillan. Now that we've laid our cards on the table here, let's start off with your boy Tet McMillan, who, again, these are his NFL combine measurements, 6'4", 219 pounds, 31.5-inch arms, and 10-inch hands. He played it 3 years in Arizona, and here are the numbers across those seasons. 39 catches, 90 catches, 84 catches, 700 yards, 1,400 yards, 1,300 yards, 8 touchdowns, 10 touchdowns, 8 touchdowns. That first year, 18 yards per reception. That's ridiculous. And then 15.6, 15.7. Those are it across the board on the major categories for Tet McMillan. I'll just go right off the bat, and I will give you my problem with Tet McMillan. Right, let's just go right for the jugular here. Because he came up this week because of the 40 time. So he refused to run the 40 in Indianapolis. Wuss. And then he apparently ran it at the pro day, and one person in the back of the room, click, click, 4.48. And people lost their minds. 4.4 for Tet McMillan. That's a great number. And I would agree. That is a great number if true. The rest of the room seemed to time him at 4.5 plus, which again, I'm not trying to smash or destroy the guy. Like, it makes a lot of sense that would be his time with his size. But if he would have been 4.48, I think that really changes a lot of the conversation, Wudi. If he did have that time, he did not that time. And when you look at the game tape, it looks like he's a 4.5 something guy. And when you look at Tet McMillan, people will say, well, Paul, he's a contested catch monster. And I go, maybe he wouldn't have to do so many contested catches if he could separate and create some speed. He's doing contested catches because he has to. He has no choice. He must do those things because he cannot consistently separate. That's my problem.
You weren't in the room. You don't know where that guy was in the back. I'll see that you just added your little things.
You noticed that.
Trying to bash the guy.
Yeah. Right.
But Tet, I mean, I think, and this happens too often. People start getting nervous, right? When things are so sure, right? You have a sure thing. It's like, whoa. Should we just be so sure? Then let's start nitpicking. Let's start finding something to just tear somebody down for no reason. Let's get nervous. And that happens. I would say CJ Stroud was somebody who, seemed like a consensus number one. And then all of a sudden those Wonderlic scores came and his test scores were terrible. They're like, wow, this guy's dumb as a nail.
Yeah.
They literally all flipped on him. And then boom, Bryce Young is the number one pick. And one of those guys' careers is way different than the other. Right. I think that this is exactly what this is. I mean, everybody was just gushing over this kid all during the season. Just, oh my God, look at what he's doing. The tape, the numbers, everything checked out, size, strength, and he's fast for his size. I mean, what is Tyler Warren's 40? They're similar size.
Yeah, he didn't work out at the combine, so we don't have that information, and I don't know when the Penn State Pro Day is scheduled. So,
it was a rhetorical question, but yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I don't like that. Doesn't even make sense to me. Like, I can understand if we talking like 4.8, like, damn, this dude is slow, but 4.5 is a super respectable number for that guy at that size. I think there's no reason to hesitate to grab Tet. Like I said, I think this is a slam dunk choice, but sometimes with the slam dunks, people just start creating ridiculous narratives to just, create doubt. We've seen it happen with CJ Stroud, and he fell as a result. And I think that's what's happening here with Tet. I think the play speaks for itself. His size speaks for itself. He is a great contested catch specialist, but that doesn't mean that's the only thing he can do. And with specifically now having Justin Fields as QB, I'm going to need everybody to have the largest catch radius possible because my man's is not that accurate. Indeed, Jets, I see you in the comments. So I know we're about to have our call in a little bit of time. Yeah, so I need everyone to have the larger catch radius. Tyler Warren obviously is a larger human being, but he's not the gifted catcher. He's not catching. He doesn't have the radius, and that's what I mean. Tet has that. You can't teach that. Garrett Wilson probably has the largest catch radius for somebody with his measurables in the NFL. Those are things that you can't teach. Tet has it. Give it to me on the New York Jets.
Interesting. Well, let's bring up Tyler Warren's measurements. He's 6'5.5", bigger than Tet McMillan. He's 256 pounds. He weighs significantly more than Tet McMillan. His arms are 31 3/4. That is bigger arms than Tet McMillan. His hand size is not as big, 9.5. He's got apparently little.
I said, did
I know.
You
I'm just repeating it. I'm just I know that for a fact. Yeah. I think it's an important statistic to reiterate of how mas importante this is. And again, with the 9.5-inch hands, take that for what you will. The thing that I like about that Tyler Warren brings, and why I'm leaning Tyler Warren, is there's the receiving action that he brings to the table. Certainly. He went to Penn State and was there for 5 years, and the production peaked finally when he got the opportunity. He was buried on the depth chart because of all the wonderful talent Penn State has had, and he had 104 catches, 1,200 yards, and 8 touchdowns in his final collegiate season at Penn State and was able to deliver. So he can help you as a weapon of mass destruction. There's a reason why Daniel Jeremiah has him as a top 6 player in this class, regardless of the position. But on top of the receiving, he gives the Jets an extra offensive lineman. Our right tackle situation is questionable. It's questionable, our right tackle situation. Is it going to be Chukwuma Okorafor? Is it going to be, who knows? Right, sure. Yeah, is it a draft choice? Is a draft choice suddenly spring out of somewhere that ends up being it? Is it, to your point, AVT? There's a lot of potential answers for what it could be. But no matter what, whoever is playing right tackle would benefit from Tyler Warren being surgically attached to his hip as a pass protector, run blocker, all of it. So the blocking element gets me, the receiving element gets me, and the fact of the matter is, at wide receiver, the Jets have Garrett Wilson. Hey now, at tight end, they have Stone Cold Smart and Jeremy Rucker. Those are the options at the tight end position. So Tyler Warren entering that room goes from here, no, whoop. Wide receiver, sure. The room would go from to So I just think also in terms of impact.
It's a big jump. It's a big jump to add.
There's no Garrett Wilson in the tight end room.
There is no, but you, for most part, you have one tight end on the field at once. Yeah, sometimes, you get the duel. You have 3, 4 wide receivers, right? Like, you need multiple wide receivers. You need it. And we saw how much easier it was for Garrett Wilson when they were not singling him out from the opposing defensive perspective. It was huge. I honestly, if I learned one thing from last season, it's that I strongly prefer to have 2 talented wideouts at minimum out there to make my boy Garrett's life easier. And we don't even know what the sky is the limit when he's not getting double teamed, and Tet would ensure that.
There is something to be said for Garrett Wilson not getting attacked on a play-by-play basis. But again, the tight end room, the options to fill the wide receiver hole are endless. You could do trade, you could do draft. You
can't trade for tight ends. I forgot that's illegal in the NFL, right? You can't trade.
There are more wide receivers to trade for than tight ends.
Hey, shout out to my guy Connor Long. All right, trying to trade that 4th round pick for Dallas Goedert. I would have done it yesterday. I'll do it again tomorrow. I don't know what why it hasn't been done. But there's a whole bunch. And the boy Green, this is a deep tight end class. That's what I've been hearing. I've been seeing a whole bunch of different names out there. This is one of the deeper tight end classes in recent times. And of course, you could get different wide receivers, right? It's not like there's only one wide receiver, but there is only one Tet. Okay, you can get plenty of blocking tight ends. I even seen in the comments a tight end from Texas, right? I've seen some guys, all right, but there's only one Tet. We're talking about one of the best receivers we've seen in college football. I mean, I'd be happy with either one. But if I had to choose, if I'm in that room, I got to make the call. You best believe I'm calling Tet.
And that's, again, there is reasonable conversation to be had. Again, I will not be, I'm trying to think of last year. Who's someone I didn't want? I'd have to, I guess, go back through the draft to see. But like, for instance,
Bowers? I felt like you were anti-Bowers.
I wouldn't say I was anti-Bowers. I actually, by the time we got to draft time, I did not.
Oh, you didn't want Jared Verse. You didn't want Jared Verse.
Yeah. There we go. There's an example. Like Jared Verse, no, thank you. I did not want a pass rusher with technically 10th and then 11th overall pick. I did not want a pass rusher last year. So, yeah, there's a good example. That was not on my bingo card. Didn't want it. And that probably would have made me upset, despite the fact I've heard wonderful things about it. He's for those who don't know, a former Albany Great Dane before he went down to Florida State and had the craziness. So we heard about him up here in these parts before he had the crazy stuff at Florida State. But yeah, that, for instance, sure, you're like, that's one where I'm pissed. I think with Tyler Warren or Tet McMillan, I don't think either way that I'm incredibly angry. And I'm sure it's hard, even though I'm seeing people are picking sides in the comment section. No, I'm this guy. No, I'm this guy. I'm Team Wudi. I'm Team Boy Great. We're getting all this back and forth. I think, it would be more divisive if one of us, like Woody's like, I want Tet McMillan. If we get Tyler Warren, damn it, I hate the world. And then vice versa. I'm like, suck it, baby. It's this. But there is some commonality. If we have our little Venn diagram, Wudi circle here, Boy Green circle here, there is some interplay here. There's some interplay.
Yeah. You know, I need a playmaker, right? I was hoping to get one, you know, from free agency. I have been peppered with comments about Tyler Johnson. I don't, you know, okay, or maybe he's something I do like. Terrence, shout out to Terrence. He mentioned Malachi Corley. I did have an article that I put on JetNation.com that said that we shouldn't give up on Corley. But again, I need more sure things, you know, or I guess nothing is sure, right? So, you know, super high probability things. Tyler Warren, Ted McMillan, those are super high probability things. So I'm seeing a lot of people saying trade down, you know, get more picks.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with it.
Abuka, baby.
But I really think I would probably make the pick at 7. If either of those guys are there, I'd probably just make the pick at 7 because you have a guy, you know, you have a stud, right? And that's what I said before, is that this pick, you have the chance to really, you know, choose your identity for this franchise with this pick, you know, with a cornerstone player like that. So either of those guys would kind of set that, you know, the Lions, where, you know, we're going to keep talking about the Lions probably for, you know, the entire Glenn era here.
Sure.
But, you know, they went from TJ Hawkinson to Sam Laporta. Those are studs, you know, tier 1 tight ends, you know, and Stone Smart is not tier 5. You know, Ruckert, me and Boy Green might disagree about, you know, which tier Ruckert is, but we know it's not anywhere in the top 4. We know that. Tyler Warren could be the pick. I just like Ted. I like to make things easier for Garrett, especially, you know, trying to secure him for the future. Just having those two guys on, you know, Garrett's extended and then Ted on that rookie deal for like 5 years. Are you kidding? Sign me up. Sign me up for that. And then, of course, you know, Membu is the other name that.
Armand Membu. Yes.
Not to, you know, put this, change this into a triple threat match, but
that's what I feel like. I thought we had an Io Sky versus Bianca Belair, a championship match at Mania, and it's like, this is my brutality. What the hell? Yeah. By God, we got a special guest. All right, there could be Armand Membu. You could be. Hey, you want a fatal 4-way? Mason Graham. Whoa, he's still on the board. What the hell? So Mason Graham, actually, you could get me on. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't get mad at a move at the trenches. It's not the level of excitement. Like, if, you know, we have the two people that are in this title, I'm hyped. Like, I'm like, let's go. Like, you know, thinking about a jersey purchase. Mm-hmm. For Membu and Graham, you know, I'm feeling good. You can never get mad about somebody in the trenches, and that's how this game is won. It is won and lost in the trenches. So to get a stud like that, and, you know, you think about that O-line, if they extend AVT, now you got Olu and Membu. That's funny. But anyway, Olu and Membu on rookie deals, right? Bookend tight ends. And then that interior is also, assuming they extend AVT, is there for a little bit. You know, you would only have to replace John Simpson, if that. And that's how you build a good offensive line, is by having the continuity, the same guy showing up every year. Yo, what up? Yo, what up? Expecting the same dude on the left, same dude on the right, and boom, now we're mauling. So, and then, of course, that's the same concept for Mason Graham on the other side of the ball. So any of those 4, I'm feeling good.
Yeah, I'll tell you, it's funny with the draft process when you go through it, that at one point a player is this. For instance, I remember back in the, sorry to bring up bad memories potentially for people, I remember in the 2020 class, Mekhi Becton, when he was discussed early in the offseason, they said, ooh, maybe that's a pick for the Jets in the 2nd round. I'm like, oh, okay, that's a guy to keep an eye out for. And then Daniel Jeremiah did a mock draft, and the Giants had the 4th overall pick that year, and he had them taking Mekhi Becton. I'm like, Mekhi Becton? What the hell? Where did that come from? And obviously, Daniel Jeremiah is one of the best in the business, so he had a pretty good pulse on what was to come, and Mekhi obviously shot up the draft boards. But, there are things that change the equation. Another one is Armand Membu. He is a guy I have not seen in the top 5 a lot. And then recently, since the combine, basically, Armand Membu has been a popular pick at 4th overall, the New England Patriots. I'm like, holy friggin' crap, look at this. So obviously the draft process of combine, pro days, and things of that nature, Woody, severely can change the picture.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely see it. And you just gave a few great examples. And it seems like that might even be happening to my guy Tet in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think in the end, right, like, all this speculation, all this conversation in March and April, and then, the player becomes a player. Like CJ Stroud, now right now, it looks ridiculous that the Panthers didn't take him first. There's a couple players like that. Everyone was talking about.
Hey, whoa. All the disrespect on my fellow vertically challenged Bryce Young. Did you see him at the end of last year, pal?
He actually was looking pretty solid. He was.
Yeah.
My home state, or my new home state, Carolina Panthers. I've only been here a few years. Yeah. I mean, we'll see. But nothing close to CJ Stroud having one of the most successful rookie seasons for a QB in NFL history, and getting a playoff win in 100% of his seasons played so far. I mean, shout out to CJ Stroud. But the other example I was going to bring was Jerry Jeudy and CeeDee Lamb. Everyone was talking about, those two. And I have a friend that was like, they're talking about the wrong two, because Justin Jefferson is about to be the best receiver out of this class. And I was oh my God, I was laughing so much at my friend when he was saying that. And here we are. Jettis is definitely the cream of the crop. So that's what I'm saying. Sometimes you have to trust the film, right? Trust the player. That's why you bring in these guys for interviews. Sure. I know in between now and the draft, we will be talking to some draft experts.
Yes.
So we will be learning. We, keep watching the show, because you will be in the know with what's happening, with the draft interviews and stuff like that. I think you got to trust that and trust the film. You can't be trusting these narratives, because I feel like some people even leak things just to have guys slip and fall to them.
They say that all the time about possibilities that are out there in the universe. Let's throw up. I think this is going to be a very quick conversation, but I will throw it up here anyway, because I appreciate when people send in questions or comments during the show. I appreciate that. Let's it just disappeared on me. Let me see if I can get it up quickly here. Either way, if I can't highlight the comment, I know what it is, so we could just talk about it that way. A Danger Zone, which has had Danger Zone, which has had a lot of Wudi on it. Which why wouldn't you, for God's sake?
My God, Dane, they know.
Yeah, that makes plenty of sense. It makes plenty of sense. And by the way, the subscriber count is going up quite high for Take Flight Talk, which is awesome to see. So again, guys, make sure you show your support. I appreciate you guys supporting this channel, but also make sure we spread the love over as well to, again, Take Flight Talk. Take Flight Talk. That is the way to listen and watch Woody's exclusive content he also has on his channel. Here it is. Danger Zone said, would you trade the number 7 pick overall right now straight up for Brock Bowers? And my answer is, duh. Of course I would. Brock Bowers just had the greatest rookie season in tight end history. He looked awesome. So hindsight is, of course, 2020. He, for me, again, he was not a guy who went, Brock Bowers, that would suck. The Bowers boys. I don't know if I would consider myself quite a Bowers boy, but I did say last year that it would be fun because look at all the stuff he can do. And I said it would be wildly irresponsible considering their left tackle issues or tackle issues as a whole, even with Tyron Smith. But I said that'd be fun. And they didn't take him. The Raiders did, obviously. And the Raiders didn't win many games. But boy, did Brock Bowers light every tight end record that's been held for like 60 years. He lit it on fire. So unquestionably, I would do this deal.
I was a Bowers boy. You can check the film. Right? You can check. You can check my IG.
Okay.
There aren't too many players, college players that I've made graphics about. But Brock Bowers was one of them. We spent many times on this show talking about Bowers. I was criticized, right? Bowers, like it's a derogatory term. I was dumbfounded that there was even a term for it. But yeah, I felt like you had Garrett. Right, I knew my guy Alan Lazar would bounce back. Why not get the superstar tight end? Get the future Travis Kelce. I said the only way that I'd be okay with not getting Bowers was if they do what they actually did. If you trade back and get an offensive tackle instead. So I was cool with it. But yeah, would I trade number 7 right now? We're talking about Tyler Warren. If you're going to do the number 7 pick for Tyler Warren, yeah, trade it for Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers is a better receiver. There's no disrespect to Tyler Warren. He might even be better all around. I know he's a bigger human being.
Yeah, he's a better blocker for sure, I think, straight up. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So
Warren is, yeah.
He has the potential to be better all around by simply being a larger human. But we know what we have with Bowers is a guy who can get 1,000 yards, right? Can run vertical routes, be a weapon in the red zone, can do it all from a receiving standpoint. So yeah, that's a no brainer to me. I feel like that's like no brainer.
Yeah, we got 700 people in the room. Like the video, hit subscribe. Now, Wudi, this may be one of those scenarios that, it's, the ref, right? Like you go out, you're smacking me around in the first round. I go out and smack you a little bit in the second round. And then we're like, I don't know what happened. We go to the judge's scorecard for a decision. And they're like, tie. Like, I don't know. I don't feel after our arguments are presented that I'm like, clearly kicked his ass in the Tet McMillan versus Tyler Warren conversation. You may feel differently. Said, no, you couldn't tell because you were getting smacked so bad. All of a sudden I was looking up at the stars like, oh, huh? What? Is the fight over? But for me, I don't feel like one way or the other after hearing the cases that I just feel like, okay, you've presented a strong case for why the Jets should strongly consider one Tet McMillan at wide receiver, and I accept that.
Yeah, I would say, yeah, it's definitely a tie. I think if anything, we just shown a light on these guys because we haven't,
Sure.
We just say names, but to actually talk about physical attributes, what they would provide to the Jets. So I guess hopefully that's what everyone can get out of it, the 700 plus. I do want to address Terrence's comment though.
Which one? What do we got?
The running, right? We're supposed to be a running offense.
Yeah, okay.
Which obviously would make me happy. In the intro for this show, I'm wearing a Breece Hall jersey. He's my favorite player on the offense. And I do want, rushing offense. But any rushing offense, like you still need to throw the ball. Like you cannot run, all 3 downs, every drive, all game.
We're not doing the wing tee? We're not going 1942 black and white film action happening here?
I mean, hey, for all I know, that might be what they're planning. But in today's NFL, I'm hoping that there are multiple reliable pass catchers. Right now, we have Garrett Wilson. As much as I defend Alan Lazard from his unwarranted criticism, he is not a reliable pass catcher. So we need somebody else. And you look at the other running teams around the league. The Eagles. No one runs like the Eagles. Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley. But when you look at their pass catchers, you have A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Dallas Goedert. That could be the best trio in the whole league. You look at the Ravens. They got somebody. Mark Andrews, who unfortunately wasn't as reliable as they would have liked, that last play. But they always have, Mark Andrews +1. It was Hollywood Brown. Now it's Zay Flowers, right? All of these rushing attacks that are successful, right? The ones that make it into the playoffs still have multiple pass catchers. And if I want the Jets to be successful, I don't care. Run Justin Fields, 1,500 yards. That's fine. Still need 2 reliable pass catchers out there. The Jets have 1.
Hey, this is a story for another time because I know we're about to get to a different bit here. tied to that, maybe on the block. Mark Andrews, at 29 years of age, may be on the block now. His season last year didn't end exactly on point. Very reminiscent of Al Lazard, actually, as a matter of fact. But I will go neither here nor there. Apparently, Mark Andrews could be had for the right price coming out of there from Baltimore. Something, perhaps a future show to discuss trade tight end options. Perhaps we'll keep an eye on that.
Big Mark Andrews fan.
Right. Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Sooner. I know June the GM is. Where's he at? Sooner up, baby.
Yes. Do we have our caller?
We do. Absolutely. Yes.
Wow. Here we go. So
I don't know if you need any introduction for him or whatnot before we let him on, but
sure. So for those of you who don't know, right, not all the 700 people follow me on Instagram. You should though. You should.
Yeah.
DJ's Wudi. I posted something. It wasn't, and I know this is gonna sound crazy. Like Boy Green is probably gonna laugh when I say this.
Yeah.
It wasn't to bash Justin Fields. It really wasn't. It was. See, look at that, Boy Green just saying that. Right? Look at him. But no, it wasn't at all to bash Justin Fields. Okay. It is to share a truth. That's what it is. And before we got to the whole Wudi rocking everywhere, we used to say James Wudi, all caps, no cap. I am here to tell you how it is. I'm not gonna tell you it's not gonna hurt if it won't hurt. And this was the fact that I had stumbled upon. I shared it to my Instagram page. Some people were more appreciative of hearing this fact than others, but it is a fact.
Sure, right? Go ahead and read it, James. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Well, Justin Fields has never won a game where his team allowed 21 plus points. He is 0-23 over 4 years in that situation. 0-23. The Jets just last year allowed 21 points 11 times. So that would mean, just by the transitive property, that would be an 0-11 if Fields was the quarterback. A fun fact on top of that, just if you were curious, like, it's super hard, for a lot of people do it, right? Like Rodgers, that's why it's 1-10. Zach Wilson's first game, he won 24. So that stat did not last 4 games for Zach Wilson, but it has lasted 4 years for Justin Fields. So that is a fact. I posted it on my Instagram. And again, some people appreciated the knowledge. That's what it is. It's knowledge. It's not hate. I'm not saying Fields is the worst quarterback in the NFL. I'm just letting you know this is the truth.
All right. Well, let's bring in someone that had some certain type of feelings about said truth. And that is none other than Indy Jets joining us here on the gosh darn program.
What's up, fellas? Wudi, my brother Wudi.
Yes, sir. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. And Green Bean can testify. I did not bash you. I said Woody's post was actually very factual and truthful.
Yes. No, yes. I saw the clip. I had to watch. When you said you were on, I was like, I had to watch. And yes, yeah. I appreciate that.
So, yeah, it was very, but with no context to that, it doesn't tell the whole story. So I've spent a couple of days to help define this whole story for you, Wudi.
Ooh, please do.
Okay, so do you, first of all, let's get some. I just want to make sure we're on the same page here. You think that it's a downgrade going from Aaron Rodgers to Justin Fields, correct?
Oh, no doubt. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I just want to make sure we're on the same page.
Clearing some things up as you're going through your story. Amen.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. So let's compare Justin Fields' last year in Chicago to Aaron Rodgers last year with New York Jets. Okay. So we got basically a full season with each team. We've got something to compare to, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So would you agree that last year's coaching from New York Jets was probably about as dismal as the coaching for the Bears back then? Equally.
I honestly would argue that it was worse because it just didn't have a coach. Like at least the Bears had a coach that is like in the NFL. He's still in the NFL right now, right?
Well, I believe isn't Yolbrick still in the NFL, right?
Yes, but I'm saying he's not a head coach. He was never a head coach. We had an interim head coach. Like, we didn't have a real head coach in the position.
Okay, so you want to say the Jets had a worse head coach?
Yes,
or coaching staff. Okay, I mean, if it is, we're splitting hairs. It's not by much. I
don't know, but all right, keep going. No, keep going.
Okay. So now let's compare talent. So let's compare talent. Do you think Garrett Wilson is better or worse than DJ Moore?
It's a good question. I would say probably worse. Probably worse at this point in their careers.
You think DJ Moore is a better wide receiver than Garrett Wilson over the history of the history of his career? If you look at DJ Moore in his first 3 or 4 years in the league, and where he was at, yardage and catches and all that, compared to Garrett Wilson in his first 3 years, right? They're both 1,100.
DJ Moore had 1,100 yards. Have more
Yeah.
TDs. Yeah, I would say he was better.
If you look at their first 3 years, here are the numbers. I have them in front of me.
Yeah.
So DJ Moore's rookie year, 55 catches, 700 yards, 2 touchdowns. Garrett Wilson's never had a season like that. Let's go to the next year. 87 catches, 1,100 yards, 4 touchdowns. Okay. 66 catches, 1,100 yards, 4 touchdowns. So Garrett Wilson, didn't he have – well, obviously he did. He had more touchdowns than that in his first 3 years.
Okay.
And more receptions, yards. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he beats him in all of those, Wudi.
So at minimum, I would say –
he was a consistent 1,100-yard receiver coming into – Chicago.
Exactly. So they're both about equal. That's what I'm getting at. Is Garrett Wilson's about equal to a DJ Moore in his first 3 or 4 years, both 1,100-yard receivers. So our talent levels equal there. Our coaching levels fairly equal if you're going to compare the two seasons. And now let's compare the running backs that Justin Field had to the running back that Aaron Rodgers had. We got Breece Hall and the running back stables that we have, which I think probably is one of the best in the league as far as 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you name? Do you know who Justin Fields' running back was?
That year with DJ Moore, it was Khalil Herbert.
Yes. How many yards do you think Khalil Herbert got?
He had. I want to say he had like.
I have it here in front of me. I have it here in front of me. I've been taking notes. Justin Fields led the league or led the team in rushing yards with 650, and Herbert had 611. So so would you say Breece Hall is more talented than Khalil Herbert?
More talented? That's not even a question.
Well, okay, so we had more talent at running back, right?
Yes.
Okay, so. Aaron Rodgers collectively had more talent around him. So now let's throw in Devontae Adams for how many games was it? 11 games. 11 of the 17 games, Rodgers had Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson. Okay. Justin Fields had DJ Moore and
who was that? Darnell Mooney?
Darnell Mooney.
Cole Kmet. Okay.
So if you take those two wide receivers,
700 yards a year, you're gritting your teeth.
Hold on. Okay. Now, Justin Fields won 7 games and Aaron Rodgers won 5 with better talent around him. Now, here's a number that, and everybody says, well, Aaron Rodgers threw for 30, what was it, 3,800 yards? I forget what it was.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay. Now, here's a number that tells you that the talent around him was better than what Justin Fields has. You know what yak is, right? Yards after catch.
Yes.
Okay. Aaron Rodgers had 2,100 yards after catch. His wide receivers and running backs had 2,100 yards after catch. That means once it was out of his hands and in the receiver's hands, they did the most with it. Okay, they did 2,100 yards. Justin Fields had 1,100 yards. So there's 1,000 yards difference in effort from the time they catch the ball, which is out of the quarterback's hands.
Yes.
To what? So tell me what 1,000 yards would do for a Justin Fields if he had 2,100 yards. How many first downs is that?
Well, that's not necessarily meaning that the players are making the play. Like if you get the guy open in space, right? If you are able to throw someone on the run, they're not breaking stride, right? You're able to run. If you have to stop, bobble, you're catching, throwing contested catches.
Right.
Obviously, that's a huge number. So of course, I will say there was more talent around Rodgers.
Okay, so now here's another great stat. So you know how much you take Brees Hall's receiving numbers. Okay,
Yes.
so he had 463, I think, receiving yards. Do you know how many yards after catch he had?
Probably like 300.
493. And there's another stat that says completed air yards. So that means from the quarterback throwing the ball to the receiver, they judge that yards. Brees Hall's number was -13.
Ooh.
So that means he averaged catching the ball behind the line. And so all 493 yards were yards after. So there's 493 yards that was all Brees Hall. So you start subtracting those numbers because Justin Fields didn't have that on his team with Khalil Herbert. Come on now. So you're sitting there saying we're losing something with Justin Fields. All right. The percentage of bad throws. I love these advanced stats because they really focus in on the individual player. The percentage of bad throws. Aaron Rodgers, 17.3. You know what Justin Fields was? 16.8. It's not a huge difference, but it's still less. Right?
True.
Okay. So we go back to the completed air yards per completion. Aaron Rodgers last year was 4.8. He averaged 4.8 yards in the air. Justin Fields, 5.9. Now, is that a big difference? No, but it's still another yard. It just shows that he's throwing a little bit deeper. And he averaged that for the season. And same thing with the completed air yards per attempt. Rodgers was 3.0, Justin Fields 3.6. It's not a lot, but it's still greater. So with all these stats, when you take these yak yards and subtract it off of Rodgers or add it to Fields, where are we at in numbers? We're almost identical. Now, what does Fields have that Rodgers doesn't? The ability to score touchdowns with his feet. Right?
Yes, I like how Boy Green is doing the sign
I didn't even have to say it. Boy Green is reading my mind here. So what I'm telling you is, so everybody says that we're losing so much by going from an Aaron Rodgers, because they're still thinking Aaron Rodgers 2021, not Rodgers 2023, because he didn't play all that well in Green Bay either. I mean, we're still thinking 13-3 Aaron Rodgers, and that was 4 years ago. Remember, that was 4 years ago from a 41-year-old, 42-year-old quarterback. He's not going to get better with age, where Justin Fields has at least an upside. Okay. We know that whatever Aaron Rodgers is today is probably his peak of where he's going to be in it. And everything from there is going to go downhill. Even whatever speed it is, he's already hit his peak several years ago, where at least you've got a quarterback with whatever angle you want is still going uphill. And he showed it. Where you got Rodgers, whose stats continually get less and less and less. Even if it's slightly, he's going downhill, downhill, downhill. And we have a quarterback who's going uphill, 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 right? So where are we saying that we got worse with Aaron Rodgers, who had more talent? We already agreed on that. Fairly equal, horrible coaching. And far more effort from his wide receivers and running backs than Justin Fields ever had, and yet couldn't do it with the New York Jets. And I would say that the Bears defense in 2023 was absolutely atrocious. And the perfect example of it was his first 5 games that year, his defense allowed 35 points a game.
Ooh.
What quarterback starting out the season going 0-5 with a defense that's allowing 35 points a game is going to win? A young quarterback. What young quarterback?
Oh,
With no talent on the offense.
Isn't that a Jim Harbaugh quote, Woody? Nobody.
Well,
So I heard you say earlier. I heard you.
We can't say no talent on the offense. We definitely can't say no talent on the offense. But we can say that his defense did let him down, which is kind of what Jets fans say about Rodgers. That the defense lets Rodgers down.
We were losing games 9-10. Our defense held Denver to 10 points, and we couldn't score more than 10.
That's a fact. That's a fact. But Fields has also shown an inability to, when we get into those deep waters, he cannot win those games. That is why the Steelers benched him, right? Russell Wilson with that same team last year won against the Bengals 44-38. He won games 28-27. The Steelers, they were winning games 10-9 because of their defense. But they knew that once Fields had to put up points to match the Chargers, they lost, right? And now you have a healthy Russell. There was no looking back because they knew they couldn't get into those shootouts. If the defense that we had 2 years ago was the defense we have right now, I'd be cool with Fields because that's what we said with Zach. Zach was 6-3 or whatever, and it was like, damn, if we just had somebody, if we had Justin Fields, who knows what could have happened? But with the defense that we have right now, and I'm not getting any more faith in that defense because we signed in. I can't even think of a name right now, but to sign all these people, right? I have no faith. I cannot say Justin Fields can carry the team. I think he can be carried, but right now I'm not seeing a team that can carry anybody.
And I'm not saying he can either. What I'm saying is that we know Rodgers can't. He proved it. You said just about 10 minutes ago, I don't care what they say about him. I want to see what the tape says. We were talking about these rookies that are going to be done. What does the tape say? What does Rodgers' tape say? Can he carry this team? Or did he carry this team? And the answer is no. I hear everybody say, well, he played so much better in the second half of the season. Okay, let's look at that. The second half of the season, you take the final 8 games. 5 of those 8 games, Rodgers couldn't generate a touchdown in the second half of 5 of those games. That's not carrying the team. I mean, that's literally Zach Wilson. That's exactly what we would expect out of Zach Wilson.
Don't you dare say that. He was not playing at a Zach Wilson level. That's not
in the second. I'm saying in the second half of those games. I'm not saying he played like that all year. I'm saying in the second half when you needed a Hall of Fame quarterback to step up and say, "All right, I got this." In the second half, Rodgers failed to do it over and over and over again. So we, as you said, watch the tape. Yeah, and so as I'm looking at these stats from the two of them, okay, one has more talent than the other, or one had more talent around them, and still only won 5 games. Now, Green, Boy Green, I got a question for you, Boy Green. If we started a quarterback and went 4-2, and we benched him, and the next quarterback came up, and the quarterback goes, what did he go 5-1, and then all of a sudden goes on a losing streak? Would we be saying put Justin Fields back in?
I would have fired Woody immediately if that happened. I would have fired Woody immediately.
Exactly. Mike Tomlin was gifted a Super Bowl team, a Super Bowl winning team, a Super Bowl winning quarterback. In Big Ben, they won a Super Bowl 2 years afterwards, went back to another Super Bowl and lost 2 years after that and never sniffed it again because he was too afraid to pull Ben when Ben was washed. And he's not done anything with a quarterback since. So when you say, well, Mike Tomlin pulled Justin Fields, I don't have a lot of confidence in what Mike Tomlin does with quarterbacks.
But if you look at the number, like there's actually like I don't know what the debate would be to keep Fields. Like the offense did not hum with Fields at the helm. They are 4-2 because of TJ Watt. TJ Watt
total touchdowns, 1 pick.
Okay.
Yes, I understand. But
who gets the credit for?
They were winning games 13-6.
Would you be okay with winning games 13-6? Would you be okay with winning games 13-6? Because I remember a quarterback that only threw for 12 touchdowns and made it to an AFC championship game, and we were winning games 13-6.
Yeah, but if TJ Watt cannot hold the other team to 6 points, then you have no chance, which is what the Steelers had. They had no chance. Anytime they allowed points, there was no chance. That's what I'm saying. That's why Russ gave them the better chance. 44-38. I don't even know if Fields has ever scored 44 points in his life. Probably.
Yeah, he has.
Before this. But that's what I mean. Like, for the shootouts, right? For the teams that, you know, have a system in place that, you know, can consistently shut teams down, Fields is a good quarterback to have. And the Steelers, they were getting by with Fields as the QB, but Russ was the better choice. Everybody's numbers, George Pickens, his numbers shot up with Russell at the helm. All of his touchdowns came from Russell Wilson. 0 touchdowns with Fields. And I know you could say, oh, well, you know, 6 games versus, you know, the however many games.
11. 6 versus 11.
But Pickens actually got hurt. So he played 6 with Fields, 7 with Russ. And all of his touchdowns came with Russ. More yards per game came from Russ. You know, everything was better than Russ. Honestly, I think the reason why the Steelers imploded the end of the season is because Pickens got hurt and they got exposed for not having good receivers. They thought picking up Mike Williams in the middle of the year, you know, our scratch,
right?
You know, all right, but they didn't have anybody. They had to make do with Calvin Austin III, and nobody wants to make do with Calvin Austin III. So I think that's actually their issue. They needed a playmaker, and now they got DK Metcalf. But I'm saying for what they had last year, Russ, they performed better with Russ all around offensively, and they were winning games that they didn't have to hold them down so much on defense. TJ Watt didn't have to be the catalyst of success. They were able to actually compete with teams that were able to score on them.
Yeah, you know, and I don't remember who it was that I think it was on Jake's show that one of the guys that Jake had, you know, actually agreed that Justin Fields probably got pulled a game or 2 early. Because, you know, at 4-2, you shouldn't lose your job. And we, as Jets fans, if we're 4-2 and we're benching a quarterback, and we're going to lose our ever-loving minds as Paul.
But it's a different standard of success, right? Like for us, you know, we inject that into
we want the wins. Do we care if we win 9-10 or 41-40? Do we give a shit? No, we don't.
Not at all.
And so, you know, I think the subtraction of Rodgers is, you know, it's an addition by subtraction. And the other stat that I wanted to point out was, Aaron Rodgers, you know, we had Zach Wilson and Garrett Wilson played together. Aaron Rodgers and Garrett Wilson play together. Now, who do you think Garrett Rodgers should have performed better with? You would think Aaron Rodgers. I mean, I would say everybody in the world would think that Garrett Wilson should have played better. They should have had a better season under Aaron Rodgers than under Zach Wilson, right? I mean, that's
yeah. How did he not? Yeah. He had career highs this year.
Yeah, receptions.
You want to talk about a career high? He had 1 more yard under Aaron Rodgers than he had under Zach Wilson. He had 3 more touchdowns and 6 more catches. Now, if you want to call those astronomically career highs,
that's a super misleading stat. That's
no, it's not.
No, because he didn't have that with Zach Wilson. He had that with Mike White. He had that with Joe Flacco.
Correct.
I mean, those guys came in and they were feeding him 100 yards per game. If Zach Wilson was Garrett's quarterback for any of those years, like all those games, I don't even think he would have got 800 yards. His pace.
Who was the quarterback last year? Who was the quarterback last year?
The quarterback last year was everybody.
Zach Wilson.
Tim Boyle. Who else was the quarterback last year?
Right,
Trevor Siemian,
all these nobodies, and Garrett Wilson still had 1,064, I think. I don't
But
remember
these
exactly.
nobodies get him the ball. If you look at every QB who has thrown Garrett Wilson a 100-yard game, I think Zach's done it like once. But my
point is, it's even all through all of these lowly ass quarterbacks. How come you can't tell a difference between those guys and Aaron Rodgers?
But Aaron's number one, like you said before. It's not a big difference, but he
1 yard.
Number one.
1 yard is not a big difference. Now, okay, so let's take DJ Moore. His best season, 1,193 yards and 4 touchdowns. First year under Justin Fields. First year under Justin Fields, 1,364 and 8 touchdowns. Now, can you see a much bigger difference in what Justin Fields did with a DJ Moore than what Aaron Rodgers did with a Garrett Wilson?
Yes, I can say that.
So why are we so again, addition by subtraction? Justin Fields proved he can take a number one wide receiver and make him a true number one. With Aaron Rodgers, Garrett Wilson didn't really get any better than he did with playing with a bunch of scrubs.
Wow, I definitely would not say that. I would not
statistically.
I mean
1,100
his touchdowns. He never even had more than 4 touchdowns. He has 7.
And he had 7. So he got 3 more touchdowns and 1 more yard for the season. I don't see that as significant compared to 160 and 4 touchdowns.
It's definitely not the same as that jump. But I'm sure if you ask George Pickens right now, George Pickens would have had Russ.
One quarterback proved he can elevate, and another quarterback proved he can maintain. That's what the stats say, right? You can't argue with what the tape says. What does the tape say? That's what the tape says.
Yeah, I mean, in that environment, sure, yes, but again, Pickens did have worse number. Like Pickens, I don't even know if he was on pace for 1,000 with Fields, but then again, the huge jump. All of his touchdowns with Russ. So I don't know. I'm not going to take
that. That's why I didn't.
I'm not saying Fields is terrible. I'm saying I don't think he is. And even you just said it, right? Like, to elevate the wide receiver to the true number one. I'm not sure if we're going to see 1,300 yards out of Garrett this year. I'm not sure if we're about to see that.
Why is that? Why you don't think that Garrett Wilson's capable of it?
I think he's capable. He just needs reliable throwing, and I know, yes, what's his name? Fields has done it once before, but that is one huge outlier in 4 years of not being able to do that with anyone again.
Yeah, he shows that he has an upside, and Chicago bit on the all the hype of Caleb, which is an absolute disaster. So that's why they got rid of him. If they would have given Fields the same tools that Caleb has and been in that, I think you would continue to see Fields slowly, however little the curve is, it's still going up. Where once he got to Pittsburgh, and again, Tomlin has proven he doesn't know a whole lot about developing quarterbacks, because he's not been able to do it once, and like I said, he inherited a quarterback, a Super Bowl winning quarterback. So none of that goes on Tomlin. That's almost like a Barry Switzer. But Tomlin's a great coach, and he's kept the Steelers relevant, but he's not been able to develop anything, outside of that. So I wouldn't say he's a quarterback whisperer or anything. So when he benched Fields for Wilson, okay, there were still a lot of questions on both sides. They should have done it. They shouldn't have done it. Whatever. So I don't even count any of that, what Fields did in Pittsburgh, because that was just a messed up situation for both quarterbacks. One got hurt. Fields wasn't even going in as the starter. So
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's just still. I feel like it's just still count. Like Rogers is literally in the worst position, and I understand like he had weapons and all that type of stuff, but like to not have a coach is a pretty big loss. And I know you can say, oh, like that's Rogers' fault and all that type of stuff, right? Like it's his board, Nathaniel Hackett, right, and all that type of stuff. But even with that, regardless of whose fault it is, that's the situation they're in. So that was my belief that bringing in Aaron Glenn and this new coaching staff, they can take the exact same team from last year and make them better because now they actually have coaching, like they actually have game plans. Where
I agree. I think the coaching staff this year will make the Jets better, and we're going to make the Jets better with a quarterback with an up curve instead of a quarterback with a down curve. Now, in those games that you watched with Pittsburgh, do you recall any time that Justin Fields had delay of games because he didn't get the ball snapped?
I know Rodgers was doing that all day. I do know that.
Is that something an experienced Hall of Fame, first round ballot Hall of Fame quarterbacks should do? Should he ever let that happen more than once a game?
Preferably not.
Yeah, and how do we let it happen? Sometime, I mean, I don't recall, but it was almost back to back.
Definitely felt like back to
back. That is not something that an experienced quarterback should ever let happen. And as Jets fans know that's a highlight of our season half the time is watching Aaron Rodgers watch the damn clock go down to 0 over and over and over again. Those are things you would expect from Justin Fields. Right?
Well, Fields not taking the time. He don't need to read a defense. He's just about to run, so he doesn't need to take that time. Rodgers is actually pre-snapping. All right, Ken, right? I don't even know.
So do you see? So you still don't agree that the subtraction is an addition to the team? With all those numbers,
I will concede that it is not the massive drop off that I thought it was, and I do agree that Fields is on the upswing, like on the up curve, like you said. I do agree with that. And looking at his numbers, because obviously I had to take some notes and prep for our call as well. It was like, okay, yeah, I think he's on the up curve. But Rodgers literally, I'm actually expecting him to be better this year than he was last year because of the Achilles. Now he's 1 year removed from the Achilles. So I still definitely, if I had a chance, Back to the Future, give me that DeLorean. If I could, I would keep Rodgers on the Jets. Given that he's not a Jet and we have to move forward,
right?
I can concede that Justin Fields is not the worst option that we can have.
And there is a huge upside to Fields. I'm not saying we're going to win 15 games. Last year everybody was saying, hey, Rodgers is going to be healthy. Even the year before, we're at 12, 14 wins, you got Neil who says we're 17-0 every year, except for this year. Finally, Neil admitted we're not going 17-0. I think that's the first time Neil ever said that.
Because of Fields.
Right. But that being said, there's not a stat that I can come up with that says that Rodgers proved to us as Jets fans. I don't care what he did in Green Bay. Rodgers has not proved to us as Jets fans that he should have come back, and that he's going to be the Rodgers from 2021. There's nothing that says that. I mean, he was throwing short balls. Like I said, that number that jumped out with me with Breece Hall was absolutely astronomical. That completion completed air yards, and he's minus 13. I've never seen a minus number in a season. His whole season was minus 13 yards. He caught. He never, that's saying he didn't catch the ball in front of the line of scrimmage. He had a net minus 13 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and still came up with 93 yards. Yak. That means that's all Breece Hall. I mean, all of it.
I mean,
that's
also, like I said, also in stride, in space. I mean, because we've seen Zach Wilson throw those same balls to Brees, and they bounce it off the foot. But yeah, I would say, all in all, we have Fields, right? They have made the bet for us, so we gotta lie in it, and hopefully, we're not sitting miserable here in 6-7 months. Let me ask you one last question, Indy.
Go ahead, Wudi.
Do you think, right? Because usually, right, stats like these, right, like, oh, this has never happened, or like this is always happens. Of course, like that, right? All good things are meant to end, or all things, right, come to an end. Do you think this year with the New York Jets is a year that he can finally get that dub if the team allows 21 plus points?
I think Justin Fields, with the talent around him, it goes back to what will our coaches do? Are we going to allow Justin Fields to throw 40, 50 times a game? I sure as hell hope not. Okay, same. Let's rely on the talent around him. And that's where I think everybody, including the fans, looked and said, "Hey, we have Aaron Rodgers. Just put the ball in his hands and let him go win it." And he's just not capable of it. And at least with Justin Fields, we know it and say, "Brees, we got to have we need you today." Braylon, it's you today. Garrett, we're gonna, these guys have got, everybody has to step up. Where I think under Rodgers, everybody kind of felt like, I don't have to step up because Rodgers is just going to do it, and he just couldn't do it anymore. And maybe guys, I don't want to say play harder because everybody loved Aaron Rodgers. The players all. I don't think you'd get a player from Green Bay or from the New York Jets that would say a negative thing about the man himself, because he's a great individual. But when the talent starts to go down on a quarterback, sometimes it just falls straight off a cliff. And I don't know if maybe that's what's going on with Rodgers. So I think when you start Justin Fields, you're going to have players stepping up. Even on the defense, you might have players going, fuck, maybe we can't count on Justin Fields. So it's time for us to get a turnover. All right, Sauce, finally get a couple of interceptions in a year. I don't, that's just how it works in sports. You've played sports, and you have those games where everybody's just on the level. And then you have other games that go, man, we better step it up because, and we had that, 2 years ago under Zach. That's how our whole defense played. Shit, we got Zach Wilson. We better do something. Because if we don't, it's not going to happen. I'm not saying Fields is Zach Wilson by any means in it, but I think you're going to see players step up and be better because it's not the aura of Aaron Rodgers around them anymore.
No, that's a fair point. I will say it did definitely seem like they were stargazing, right? And we even saw that on Hard Knocks. Like everybody was like pinching themselves about Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, I would say, hopefully we see something, right? We shared the stat.
Wudi, what do you think? What's our record to end this out? What do you think? Let's do our record prediction here. Let's see how far off you and I are.
6-11.
6-11. Mm-hmm. I'm saying we're going plus 500 at 9-8.
Yeah, we're a little different. Boy Green, you got us at 15-2.
15-2. You might as well just go full Neil and just say 17-0. Come on now.
By the way, speaking of Neil, there's a couple of super chats coming in here. Let's throw those up on the big board. Every time we get a super chat, we hear from my daughter, Zariah Luna.
Wow.
Neil Sr. says, Indy, stop the RDS. Move on already. Everybody wants the 30 minutes you just wasted back. If it was so bad, why are 4 teams waiting to bring them on their team?
Damn.
For the same reason everybody else is going, oh, it's Aaron Rodgers. He's going to be great, just like we all thought. And then Aaron Rodgers proved he's not. And they're still thinking they're going to get the 2021 version of Aaron Rodgers, and they're not. Why haven't the Steelers already signed him? If he was that high a demand, why haven't they already signed him?
And then
If there's 4 teams that are really after him, come on now. If there's 4 teams that are really after him, if the Steelers really wanted him, they would have already had him. Now, if they're going to say, we'll take Aaron Rodgers for $15 million, well, yeah, who wouldn't? But they're not paying him 30, 40 million.
We'll see. The reported stuff is he's looking for the Sam Darnold deal, which is like 33 million and change, which isn't crazy. I mean, it's quarterback money. You know, we could complain about it, I guess, but that's what he's getting. One more super chat here. This is from A-Step10.
Wow.
I was literally yelling at TV when we got that turnover right before Rodgers walked into the blue tent and put his helmet back on and came back out of the field during the Vikings game. Was furious they didn't go to Tyrod then. That
exactly
talking about was Thomas Morstead, right? So Rodgers goes off the field. It's over. He's banged up anyway. He's going into the blue medical tent. Thomas Morstead gets roughing the punter, and then the ref goes, whoop! First down, and I'm like, what? And then Rodgers like, son of a bitch, I'm back in. And he just starts jogging back out there. And yeah, that was the pivotal moment everyone was talking about. The Jets sort of had to make a comeback, obviously, to get back into that game. That was a moment people said, okay, let's see what this team looks like with Tyrod.
We should have. Yeah, and yet the Rodgers mystique, the Rodgers aura would not, and it says, oh, you know, here comes the 2021 Rodgers, and he's just going to do it, and then just falls flat on his face.
Well, there you have it. So, by the way, thank you to A-Step 10. Thank you to Neil. Neil got himself 3 raffle tickets for our contest. A-Step 10 is up to 118 raffle tickets. He's been absolutely killing it. So, salute to A-Step 10 for all the super chats and memberships so far this month. We appreciate it.
And everybody needs to hit the damn like button. What are we waiting on?
Damn straight. That is the free way to contribute to the show, baby.
Yeah.
And totally gets overlooked all the time. And Indy, this is the first time in Boy Green Meets Wudi history that we brought on a caller for such a significant role on the program before. So, Indy, thank you for cooking.
Well, you know what, Boy Green, I saw, you know, over the weekend that you've kind of, taken on somebody else's show's platform. So maybe this is maybe this is something new for you. You know, stop it. You know, your copy and paste.
I will do my best. And Indy, God bless. Thanks, pal. Some Bobby stuff. If you guys want to know what the hell that's all about, there's 5.5 hours of live stream footage from Saturday and Sunday that Bubba Badshaw this morning commented and said, I got to catch up. I'm like, well, I hope you have 6 hours on your hand, buddy, to catch up on that kind of content, but we're looking forward to it. And real quick, just to answer, I see Danger Zones asking, what is this raffle? What is this raffle? Every month we raffle something off on the channel. And this is our raffle for the month of March. It's a New York Jets patched out pullover hoodie, a custom laser engraving package. That's basically a bunch of items that have a Jets logo and a Boy Green logo on it. There's license plate, commemorative coin, all this other stuff, and a Super Bowl prize pack that has multiple unique items from Super Bowls past. That's all together. And we got a fun draft day special. That's all I can tease for April coming up as well on the channel.
Hey, we had a long episode today. I know we had a lot to discuss for the Warren's Warriors I see out there, and then the McMillan militia out there. I really hope we get a pass catcher with that first round pick, and then of course the conversation with Indy. Appreciate you for coming on, talking. You know, I'm not here to run away from smoke. I don't post things and just disappear. Yeah. So, he wanted to talk about the post. I thought he did a great job, bringing together his points, bringing together the facts, and I'm all for that. That's why we're all here, right? We're all Jets fans to kind of talk about it. Boy Green, I didn't know that he knew ASL like that, the American Sign Language, that he was only doing when Indy spoke, though. I didn't see him doing nothing.
That's weird. I don't know what was happening there.
Yeah. It must have been the Wi-Fi. But
that was definitely it. So Wudi, that was awesome. And again, I think you're right that we're all, hearty conversation, good conversation, back and forth stats, all this different stuff. We're all Jet fans. We're all learning, consuming information. So that part's pretty cool. And I see more comments here from the Danger Zone, just everybody else. It's $2.99 a month for a raffle ticket. There's no limit for the raffle tickets. If you buy a Boy Green Coffee Club membership, either for yourself or for your neighbor, gifting memberships, those are all $2.99 a piece. Or just like Aced Up just did, Aced Up 10, where it just gifts a chunk of money, and then throughout the month, every $2.99 of that chunk are raffle tickets. So that's why he has as many as he does, because he super chats every day, different amounts, and then I add them all up, and that gives raffle tickets. So yeah, you're right, Data Show. I'm sorry, I shouldn't assume that everyone knows what the hell I'm talking about, so I will work on that as well. But Wudi, fun show, man. 1,000 people in the room. Thanks, everybody. Like the video, hit subscribe, and we got some good stuff cooking for Thursday.
Absolutely, we definitely do. So hope you guys had your fill today and get ready to eat up on Thursday, baby.
God bless everybody. See ya.